Good morning all. We've got our MoEco 2000.1 system sitting here. I've taken it out of the box, some of the components. There's extras of these, there's extras of those, and there's another one of these. But we're just going to kind of do a real quick type of setup. I mean, it's something pretty basic, but kind of all starts with this guy right here. This is going to be stuck on the side of a conveyor belt, probably like this with those little the T-nuts there, into an extrusion. You can take them out and put them on the other side if you want or whatever. Doesn't really matter, but let's just say we have it like this. Of course, we'll put a pole in and we will tighten it down. Quite simple here. And you'll notice that this carries all the way through, so you can literally have to go all the way through. If you have to go down lower, like on your line, not a big problem. So here I'm just going to tighten this guys up a little bit. Oh wow, yeah, these do work better than like I said before. I thought they were going to work a little bit better, and they do. They actually do work better. So I'm just going to set that flush on the ground like that. You would then on your line, let's say your conveyor belt is running this way. This would be up against your conveyor belt along the side. You'd put in one of these 90-degree guys on there. Like, I'll turn this thing sideways. It'd be like this. And you would just tighten that down, depending on what height you need. Oh yeah, they clamp really well. These are actually quite nice clamps. And then you could take a shorter one, let's say here. Here's a shorter one. That would go in like so. So now you're mounted on like that. And then you would have your print head mounted, like this, facing down on the line, and you could adjust this up and down as you wanted over here by loosening and tightening that nut. That down there, basically we have these guys right here, and you'll see that the holes match up. And just put that in like that. Here's a screw and my screwdriver. There's one in. And we'll put the other one in. So there it is. That's sitting now. You can have that facing down. You can have it facing towards whatever. And this, of course, you can rotate it 90 degrees on this bar. Something similar to that. All right. And you can switch sides, and there's a lot of different ways to do this. This is just one of many, many ways to do it. Same thing on the back of the controller. You would have this clamp right here would fit on those two as well. And you could have your controller this way, the bar going this way, or up and down, whichever way you really wanted it. So that's as far as the hardware part of this goes. Very simple to hook up, and your kit comes with all of these, like two of each size bar. I think there's an 11.8 inch bar, and there's a 13 something. Anyways, they come with two of each, and you can mix and match it anyway, however you want to do it. Of course, we also sell the extra bypass clamps and other clamps as well, so block clamps and things like that. So if you ever needed to have a special way that you wanted to do it, we can still do that. Anyways, I'll be back. I'll clean this up, and then we will be back to fire this thing up. Okay, we are back. I got everything cleaned up. Now we're just down to the components themselves. First, the controller being here. We have our power supply cord running from an outlet right now. Our power supply, simply plugging it in to there. This connector here on the bottom of the controller, as you can see right there. Push that in and tighten the lock nut on there. That'll keep it from coming out. Nice and sturdy. Now we have our print head data cable here, a DB15 cable. So we'll spread that out. Of course, we're going to go into print head number 1 right here, making sure that we hook that up correctly. And of course, you can turn in your little locking screws so that doesn't fall out. Okay, that's in there nice and good. And of course the back of the controller, or the print head, same connector again. So we're just going to plug that in, and we'll tighten down the screws on there. That's in there good. Okay, so there's our print head, controller, and print head together. We'll put a cartridge in when we're ready, but first we're going to learn how to run this controller and how to program it. I'm going to turn it on right now. All right. I think I'm gonna put this power supply in behind it. We can tip it up and see it a little bit better. Maybe I can zoom in on it a little. There we go. Okay, and that's the controller. It's up and ready to go. Okay, we've got the printer turned on, ready to go. We're going to try and just do a standard basic message, like a best before kind of date on it, and maybe a made in Canada static data. We'll keep it simple. First thing you're probably noticing while looking at this is saying, hey, that doesn't look like an Elfin software at all. And you would be right. It does not look like it. However, there is settings and tools and delay and a report. I mean, some of these things you're probably looking at it and going, yeah, that kind of looks a little familiar. Well, it is familiar. It's actually some of the same stuff. It's just put in different places on the screen and looks a little bit different. For instance, up here, you see the message. So that's your editor. So before on your screen, you used to have message, and you'd press on that, and it would go into editor and stuff. Well, it's just right handy right here from the main screen. Just by pressing that button, it comes up and you can rename, and your messages new, you can edit them. Instead of modify, now they use the word edit, which is nice. Import, export, things like that. You're going to find different things that were in different windows are now together into one window, more or less. In some cases anyways, not all cases, but some cases. And it's not bad. I had a struggle with this at first, but I mean, because there are some things I wasn't quite understanding, but I think I've got it down now. I think we're pretty good. So in a case like this, you can take that screen away again by just pressing that little arrow, and it goes away again. Your messages that are sitting right here, those are the ones that you can print, and it actually gives you a preview of what they look like, which is nice. It's different than before. You didn't quite get that exactly the same before. You just had words, and you had to press it and take a look and see what it looked like. Well, now it gives you a preview of what it looks like. And as you accumulate more messages here, you can just scroll the screen up and down and go to find it if you want. Or you can go over here, the message, go to search and put the name in. You know, over here, CSA approved and a barcode. You know, you can just put in your search words, and it'll bring them up. You'll notice down here in the yellow, there's tools and settings. Those are kind of the same as what you had with the Elfin. Tools is kind of like for system tools. If I press that, you've got language and font, and you can upgrade these things. Input methods, resource, system log, backups, image. So there's a number of things you can do here. If I go to image, actually I have some images in here. There's the CSA logo one right there, and I have a Wiltec logo one. So those are ones that I imported in. You can use those as you want. Backup, kind of like we say, give it a name, give it a path, and what the portions or the parts of that the messages that you want updated or saved. You can save the message, you can save an image, you can save print parameters and system parameters. Register, I'm thinking this is where you would probably bring in new software. System log kind of tells you everything that's happened. That's pretty no-brainer there. Going back to the update, you can do language, font, input method, and resource. I don't know what all this stuff is, and I don't pretend to know. I didn't get exactly the crash course on this I was hoping to get, at least not yet anyways. But I've kind of worked my way through it and kind of looked at all the different things that were similar to the Elfin style software. Home, of course, just gets you right back to that same screen again. And then you have settings down here, and that's where it brings it into the print heads. You know, how to adjust your print heads, or print head 1, print head 2, because it is a two-headed controller. You know, right to left, left to right, upside down, whatever. You can choose your nozzles. You can flip things around. Intelligent clean, that's a pretty cool feature. I'll cover that on a different video. But it's like a pre-purge, but a smarter way of doing it. There's some other stuff, photo cell built in. So here's where you choose external, none, or whatever. You do have to choose these things that when you make a new message or whatever, you kind of need to tell the system what you're using or what it's looking for. The Elfin used to choose automatically which one is, if you plugged it in, it shows the one that was plugged in or the built-in one, depending. Now it's a little bit different. But now you have some, you can do the edge and the fall, level, typical photo cell. It's like PNP and NPN kind of stuff. You can choose which one you want to do, whether the falling edge or the climbing edge. Q photo cell, I don't really know what that is. Print media width. There's some other things here that you can throw in, but for the most part, you really don't need to know much of that stuff to make it work. But this kind of stuff you do. Print option, total prints. There's a lot of other things that reset your counters. Print recover. That's that we turn that thing on. That's when you have a power outage. Rather than the printer just coming on and sitting there and not doing anything, it'll go back on, go back to the message where it was and continue on from where it left off. And by putting print recover on, that will allow that to happen. Most people will always run it on. I don't know why you'd ever want it off, but you know, who knows? Maybe there's other reasons for that. Line settings. This is for your encoder. They now have a 2-phase encoder that they use with this, so it'll tell whether it's going forward or backwards, the wheel when it's turning, so that you don't get overlapping prints and things like that. Speed, temperature stuff. I don't know quite what all that stuff is. Now this print special, that's going back and forth when you're on a traversing arm or something like that. You could go forward and then it would flip the print around backwards and go the other way and so on. And you might need that somewhere down the line, but for most people don't need it. You just go to the group set and you work yourself there, and your print options, you would just fix yourself up there. And line settings, of course, I think there's a speed. Yeah, it's right there, 32.8 feet per minute. You would change that to make your code wider or narrower, depending on how fast your conveyor belt is going. You just set it to where you like it. Back to home again. Let's just make ourselves a simple message that says made in Canada and best before date, and we'll do that. How's that? So let's go to a new. Here's new right here. We're going to go to new. We're going to do static text. So just text alone, when it says text like that, it's static. So it's never going to change or do anything weird. So in there, we'll go text. It comes up with that. Now you scroll yourself down here, and you can change a number of these parameters on the height, and it's a visible text. You can make it invisible. Don't ask me why you'd want it invisible, but sometimes you might. But you make it invisible. So pressing on this little text button here will allow you to change that particular data that's there. So I'm going to press on that, and you'll see here the text content says default text. You'll also see something here that says edit on and off. If you never want this edited or never need it to be edited, I'm going to put product of Canada. I'm going to put product of. How's that? And then I'll put in Canada, and we can be able to change and edit that anytime we want from the other screen, from your main screen that where it's running at. So default text right now, I'm going to change this, and you can give it a name too. Right now it's called text. You can call it anything you want. So I'll take that here. I'm going to backspace all that. Oh, there's an eraser right here. You can do a clean if you want to. That little eraser cleans the whole thing. You don't have to keep hitting backspace. So in here, I'm going to go product of. Let's go capital. And I'm going to go product of. We'll leave it at that. So check mark that. There's product of. I don't want it that big. I want it kind of small. So you can just take the corner of that and just drag her down to whatever size you want. Something smaller. And then you can actually just take that whole box and move it around within that. You're going to do the 1/2 inch because the first print head is in print head number 1. That's the top one. That's the first 1/2 inch. The bottom 1/2 inch is the second print head, but we don't have one. So you wouldn't put anything down there in that line. Otherwise, you'll never see it. So product of, I'll raise that up a little bit more. And now I'm going to go in here, text again. I'm going to go text. I'm going to put in here Canada. So I'll just clean that in caps. I'll go Canada. Okay. And I'm going to break that down into a smaller, like that. I'll move that over a little bit. Now, if you want to get more or fine tune these things, you can fine tune it in the edit. Over here in this other box. You can change your XY coordinates and things like that. So now that Canada is in there, if I go to this text right now and I say edit, I turn the edit on, you're going to see what's going to happen with that. Product of Canada, you won't be able to edit that, but we will be able to edit that name from the main screen. So let's just save this for the time being. I'm going to go back. Now you can save as, and here's your message. We'll just call it test. Okay. And we'll say save. So here's test right here, product of Canada. So if I was to take this particular one, and I can go here and here. If I take this particular one, print head error, yeah, no cartridge. Let me throw a cartridge in here. I'm just putting a cartridge into the print head. Okay. So now I can go like this. So now it says that. Well, down in here you see something called initial. Well, that initial brings up the current text that you can edit. Right now it says Canada. Well, what happens if it's Mexico for this particular day? I'm just going to change that to Mexico. Okay. We'll save that, hit OK. Now it says product of Mexico, and that's what you're going to print for the day. So it gives you a chance to edit your stuff instead of going way into the edit screens from up here, going into there, going into edit, going into do all that stuff, saving it and all that kind of stuff. Instead of doing all of that, it allows you to change that all the time, and you don't have to save it as that. It's just going to be that. And today it's Mexico. Tomorrow will be something else, whatever you want to do. So now I'm going to hit stop on that. You'll see it still says product of Mexico. So let's just going to take that one. We're going to edit that some further because we want to put in there a best before date. So best before is always going to be the same. So I'm going to take that text there. We'll do a default text and we'll just erase that. And I'm going to put in here best. Whoop. Shows you my spelling ability. Okay, best before. And I can put a little colon in there and a space. So I'm going to leave it at that. You know what? Actually, I think I can add go back here to text too. Oh, I didn't save it. Okay, let's just do that again. All right. Best before, hit the check mark. There it is. So best before now I can also take this and shrink that down, something smaller. It's a lot easier. The drag and drop is a lot easier on this than it was on the Elfin. That I've noticed. So now we're going to put in a date. And you can choose what kind of date or how you want it to look. I'm just going to try and find if you go into date here, now you can choose how you want it to look, month, date. I want this one right here. Or maybe I want, let's see what these other formats are. Well, that one's not too bad, but I'd like a space in between there. I don't see that. So let's try this one. Oh, but I want to see 2025. You can make your own. Like if you want to make your own dates, you can do your own dates in the system. You can go in and create it any way you want. No, don't like that one either. These are all pre-programmed ones. Yeah, don't like that one either. Okay, let's just do this for the sake of argument. So we also want to make sure there's an expiry. So if there's a 30-day expiry, let's say, or something like that, I'm going to go day. I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go 30. Hit enter. You'll now see it's March 26th. Today is February 24th, and that is 30 days from today. So there's the date. So that's how you do an expiry date in there. Daylight savings time. Yeah, it's off right now, and it is off at the moment. So now we'll take that, move it over here. I can shrink that. Oop, that's a little too small. And we'll give that right about that size. Looks about good. Drag it right there. So there's your product of Mexico, best before. And we will go back and we will save it as test continuous. And there it is in our screen. I'm going to grab a piece of paper here. I don't know if you can, yeah, I'll have to zoom out a little bit on this one. But we will go to print. Now I'm going to zoom back out here. Here's my print head. I'm not quite sure. Well, it's backwards. So we're going to go this way. There it is. Product of Mexico. A little wavy, but then again, my hand's a little wavy. So there it is. It's working. But, you know, I don't want Mexico. All of a sudden somebody said, oh, hey, it's just changed over to Canada. We're just stopped right now. We're changing over to Canada. So I go here to that initial again. And zoom that in. So I went here to initial. I'll cancel that for a second. It's in print mode. Literally at the moment, it's still in print mode. So I went right here to initial in print mode. I'm going to go up to Mexico. Cancel that. Capitals, Canada. We just swapped line over. Oh, crap. We just swapped over our product. And hey, I can't even spell Canada. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, and I'll press OK. It's now changed to Canada. And it's still printing. Even at this moment, it's still printing. So let me zoom back out again here. Grab my piece of paper. And there it is. Product of Canada. So it's pretty versatile how to do just a standard one on this. Down the road, you're probably going to be looking at ways to, report, for instance. The report gives you some stuff. It gives you total prints up here, 101. It says right now print head 1 is okay. Looking for something probably a little bit better as far as reports go, but we'll cover that later on. But that just gives you that status in the report end of things. You can turn that off and clear it out and then just have a bigger screen. That takes up a little bit of room right there at the moment. Print plan, I don't have a print plan in there, so I don't have to worry about that. But there is what you can go into settings and that, or into your tools and find the spot that'll give you all the information about your current cartridge, how many prints you have left in it and that kind of stuff. We'll cover that in a different time, but this is how to create just a standard message right there. Just a standard test message I did. And the other ones with barcodes, it's all kind of the same thing. Just remember that when you're creating or editing your message, oh, I'm in print mode. I can't edit it. Well, I'm in print mode now. I can. You can add other components along that top. That's all. This whole thing, and it slides here, so there's more stuff. Even though you don't see it, there's a string. If you remember strings, there's strings available now as well, which is kind of like that little edit where I can change the Canada back and forth. But this is so much easier than using a string or anything. You just do it this way. It's simple. And we'll leave it at that. We'll get into more detailed stuff on a different video. Hope you enjoyed this and you learned something, and we'll see you around again. Thanks for stopping in.